What are we going to do today? We're going to generate a PRD, essentially a plan to use in Lovable to vibe code a documentation website. So let me give you guys a few examples. So I came into Perplexity, added this prompt, help me plan a PRD for a documentation site similar to, passed in the URL for Firecrawl dev documentation. Documentation should be called Aircrawl and should be built using Astro Starlight docs site generator. So we're using this site generator as a pre-built, and we're telling it to use the dark theme to build. So Perplexity Claude gave me a pretty detailed PRD. So let me grab this PRD and let's just see what happens. So let's grab this, go to Lovable. And let me go ahead and add this to Lovable. Just remove some of these, which we don't need. So if you look at this doc, basically we're passing in this PRD to Lovable and giving it a plan so that it knows and has a little bit of leverage on what to do. So here's a cool thing I'm going to do. I'm going to actually tell it to analyze my PRD and suggest a plan of action for an MVP and ensure we are following best practices and dry bottom. Plan without implementing yet. So let's go ahead and run this. And let's see what Lovable does. Let's give it a shot. So essentially, we're giving it a pretty decent plan to start. We're going to build a documentation website just for a sample business. I just want you guys to see the power of Lovable and the power of adding an AI prompt and starting with a PRD. See, cool. So Lovable is analyzing my PRD. It's giving me some additional information. So it's giving me specific information that it's going to go ahead and create a React-based documentation site based on the Starlight theme. And here's an MVP plan for this documentation site. So it gives you a good architecture analysis. Phase 1, Phase 2, some design strategy, component architecture. And it also gives us information architecture to an MVP. So it gives it an introduction, quick start, core concepts, API reference, SDKs, and then troubleshooting. So this will kind of like be our navigation framework to start. So let's go ahead and implement. Let's implement. And let's see what happens. All right, so let me resume here. So if you look, we can tell that Lovable went ahead and created the site. It actually implemented the full site capabilities, functionality, back end, front end, everything has been set up. The way that these static site generators work is you have a fully fledged documentation site ready to go so that you can deploy this anywhere you want. You can place it in GitHub, do whatever you need to do so that you can start creating additional content. If you look here at the timeline, we actually had a few build errors that Lovable went ahead and fixed for us. It understood the errors, fixed the problems, went through the steps to fix and we completed the different features of the PRD that we passed in. So if we look, it gives us a little checklist here of all the different features that it went through and generated. And it gave us some success metrics. So cool, we're ready to go. This site's essentially ready to be deployed. Obviously this is an MVP, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how we're gonna connect this to GitHub so that we can plug it in. So we're gonna connect it to a project, transfer anyway. And then this will essentially clone the GitHub repository. So we have a repository now on GitHub. So anytime we make any changes, we can always revert back on any of the commits, and we keep versioning set up via GitHub, just like any developer project or repo. Cool. So now let me show you where it is here in GitHub. Let's take a look. Let me go to Lovable here. So there we go. Cool. So this is our new documentation project, and it's all ready to go. So one other thing that I want to show you is how we can deploy. And so we can actually view the project online. I mean, Lovable actually lets you do it here, so you can just publish directly in Lovable, and you can just use this aircrawl.lovable.app URL. So that's one way to do it. But I like to use Vercel just for the deploy capability. So anytime I make any changes or push anything to GitHub, it'll automatically pick up those changes, and it'll deploy to a live site. So let me go ahead and import my repository. Here it is, Aircrawl. So let me import it. I'll leave all the default settings. Let's do deploy. Wait a few minutes here, and we should see a successful deployment, hopefully. Cross our fingers. This is super exciting. Literally, this type of work used to take me hours to build, just because everything had to be done manually in the terminal. Now with Lovable and Vibe coding, literally can take anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes all the way to deploy. So cool. Looks like it's deployed successfully. Let me go ahead and configure the domain. Let me just make sure. Oh, cool. This is all good to go. So we can now view the website and our documentation site at aircrawl.vercel.app. So here we go. Awesome. So this site is live and is public at this URL. So if you look, this is a fully fledged documentation website that you can use for any of your products or services. And this is a production ready, enterprise ready application. Pretty awesome, if you ask me. Yeah, there's a few pages that didn't publish, but you know, now that we have this site up and running, you know, you can essentially give the site to your marketing team, to any of your engineers or anybody in your company or in your business, and they can start updating these docs. They can create new docs, add to the docs, and start promoting your documentation website with your customers or internally. So hope you enjoyed. Peace and vibe out.